So here it is. Today's story is pretty good. Called Cinderella, and it goes like this: Once upon a time, there was this girl named Cinderella. They called her Cinderella because that, in fact, was her name, which is kind of odd. Some kids have odd names. Her middle name was Marjorie, but she didn't like that. She went by Cinderella, which she really liked. So, okay, Cinderella has a stepmom and two stepsisters, and they're all fairly wicked. Not too wicked. I mean, on the wicked scale, they're pretty low. But they are very annoying people. And so they make her do all the work and stuff. And one day they find out there's going to be a royal ball because the prince, he's looking for like a new girlfriend who's going to be queen one day. And he's thinking, yeah, I'll be a nice girl if I have a ball. And anyone's invited because, the royal bloodline had been getting a little close knit there, a little inbreeding thing happening. In fact, the king and current queen were, in fact, cousins, first cousins, yeah. Okay, so he's inviting everybody, and Cinderella can't go because she got to do all the work. And his stepsister's going. And next thing you know, Cinderella's like, oh, I can't go. And her fairy godmother shows up, and her fairy godmother says, hey, Cinderella, what you doing? So I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to go to the ball and meet the prince and, make time with him because he looks kind of cool. And fairy godmother's like, yeah, I can fix that for you because that's what fairy godmothers do. And she's like, how much are you charging me for that? And it's like, no charge, no charge. There is a catch, as these things happen. We're going to make you a nice dress, and we're going to make a coach for you out of pumpkin here. And we're going to use field mice for your coachman. And I think we have a couple of leftover raccoons, which will be your horses. And that's how that's going to go, okay? So, the fairy godmother puts it all together like in twinkling of an eye, and her eyes really twinkle a lot. She's got that going. And next thing you know, there's the pumpkin turned into a coach. There's the horses, and there's a coachman, and there's Cinderella in a huge gown that's like totally hot looking, and her hair's all fixed up, and her makeup's just right. I think you know what I mean on this. Okay, so she like goes to the ball, and everybody's looking. They're all like staring, and it's like, wow, she's hot. And she's thinking, is there something on my nose? Is that what this is? Why is everybody staring at me like that? Maybe they're all like closing in on me, and they know my dark secret. And then a paranoid moment passes for her, and she realizes that, she can dance with the prince. So she's like dancing with the prince, and then she notices the catering guy on the other side of the room, right? And he's like looking at her, and she's looking at him, and they're like kind of getting along, And she says like, how you doing, catering guy? And the catering guy is like, hi, my name's Randy, and I do catering, and you are like mega hot. And so she's like, and then the prince comes over because he's thinking the same thing, And he says like, hey, pretty girl with the blonde hair and the roots that don't match for some reason, which I can't fathom. Yeah, you're like, wow. And she thinks a minute, and she says, Prince, you're Prince Charming, right? Weren't you, like, dating Cinderella or something? You guys are going to live happily ever after? And the prince goes like, no. No, yeah, it's over between me and Snow White because she was getting fat. And I don't do fat girls, you know what I mean? I'm the king one day, and I got to have that image going. So no chunky chicks. She tried to tell me she was big boned, but hey, who's got bones in their ass, right? And Cinderella's thinking like, yeah, his parents really were probably cousins or something. That probably explains a lot. And then she's thinking, yeah, maybe this is not working out so well. I really see that guy. And she like, oh, hang on there, Prince. And he's like, no, you're coming with me. I'm going to peel off that dress. And she's like, no, I don't think you're going to do that on a first date. No. And he's like, no, yeah, I'm doing it because I'm Prince. And she goes, oh, yeah? She's like looking at Randy over there, and Randy's looking at her, and she like nods at him. She goes, you know what, Prince? I got a riddle for you. what goes whack, clink, ow? And he goes, I don't know what. And she pulls off one of her glass slippers and hucks it at his head. And he goes like, whack, clink, ow! And then she runs for it, man. She's like running, she's out of here. And like Randy's like, hey, wait, I don't know who you are. She goes, yeah, I'm like Cinderella, okay? So let's just leave it at that. Just like, buy me some time. And, like all the guards are chasing her now because, she just like whacked the prince in the head with like a slipper and it broke. And he goes, yeah, throw me the other shoe. And she's like, okay. And then throws him the shoe. And then like he dumps a whole thing of gazpacho soup right on the floor in front of them. And they are stuck, right? Because they don't want to get their shoes dirty and three of them slip in it. So she gets out of there one step ahead of the law. And next day, the prince wants to know who whacked him in the head. Okay? And it turns out somehow he got hold of the other glass slipper. Right? By this time, her gown is gone. Because, the fairy godmother knew that the chances of her looking like that and having that gown on after midnight were like nil. So she, to ensure the return of everything, she made the undergarments out of insects, like icky bugs, not the good kind, the icky kind. So Cinderella is back by about 11:45, running as fast as she can. Left the cart behind, which was unfortunate in itself because the prince right behind her says, "You with the really fancy coach! I'm commandeering it because I'm prince and I want that girl." And so he like dives in, right? And it's 11:50 something when he gets in there, and you know how that's going to go. And meanwhile, everybody was talking because like here, coachmen were all scurrying around the baseboards, but they got that worked out. And at any rate, so he disappears. And 2 days later, he's like going door to door with a glass slipper, and he's like covered in pumpkin goo because for some reason he was trapped in a pumpkin for 24 hours. That was pretty funny. Yeah, like you're thinking, yeah, he had it coming. So they get to Cinderella's house, and he's like, whoever holds this slipper is either going to be my wife or I'm going to like beat the crap out of her for whacking the other shoe at my head. And she's like, okay, Cinderella says, let me get my stepsisters. First stepsister, the shoe doesn't fit. The second, Cinderella's like, oh, let me put that on her. And Cinderella runs to the back, and she gets clear paint and puts it on one of her sister's shoes, right? And it's clear paint, so you can't see the shoe anymore. It looks just like a glass slipper. Yeah, that's how that works. And substitutes it out, and the glass slipper, apparent glass slipper, fits right on her sister, and her sister's got to go off with the prince, which is not a happy ending for anybody except like the prince, who's just a total jackass. And, Cinderella's like backing out the back door, and she bumps right into Randy. And Randy's like, you do all the work anyway. Why don't you come with me? We'll be in the catering business, and we'll do like the palace and stuff, and we'll live happily ever after. And Cinderella's really down with that. And she's like, yeah, this works for me. Happily ever after with Randy and the prince. He's got a wicked stepsister. I think they were made for each other. So that's my story. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Yeah.